This video might be my most challenging. Normally when I make a video, I usually feel completely informed on everything I'm going to talk about, and it's all just waiting to come out of my face. I just can't get it out fast enough. But this one really has me at 100%, really trying to digest this issue. So this all started this morning. I wanted to look up, just randomly, this came to me, a video I had seen on YouTube maybe 2 years ago or so that claimed, and it was nice, pretty animation, it showed how it arrived at these statistics, that the divorce rate is not 50%. And anyone who's known a lot of people knows that's true. Like, more than 50% of the people you've ever known who are married got divorced. But that's a very convenient myth that the government wants to perpetuate for its own benefit. And I'll go into all this in detail. I've got a ton of websites open here to show you. This website claimed that the marriage rate for the first 10 years was less than 6%. So meaning, of all marriages, only 6% make it past the 10-year mark. And obviously it's even fewer for the 15, 20, 25, 30. And what this all means is that the government has been purposefully hiding this realistic rate from the public. And I've looked at so many of the divorce statistics, primarily from the CDC, and it's blatantly obvious to anyone who's relatively competent at math exactly what they're doing. I'm asking for very specific information, very specific word choice, in quotes. I'm very good at researching things online. And it was, I mean, after the first hour, I made zero progress. It was still apparent to me that they were not giving up this information, that they were trying to hide it. They were not answering the questions asked. And this is obviously extremely troubling for many reasons. Now, again, this is a multifaceted video, so stick with me for a second because I've got several points to make and they're all coming in rapid fire succession. All right. Believe it or not, the main purpose of this video isn't what I've said so far. It has to do with a brand new radical approach to procreation that I'm going to propose. I don't like complaining about problems without giving solutions, and I have come up with another one. I'm going to give you the basics of it here in the jump, then I'm going to expand upon it later after going through all of the evidence as to why I feel this is a good idea. So in an earlier video, I discussed what a fair marriage contract would look like, and I also discussed an alternative to the typical bitter, ugly, destructive divorce. It's not just destructive to primarily men, but to aspects of a woman's life. But it's destructive to the best interest of the children, something that you hear said in courts a lot that isn't actually true. It's a complete lie. And that alternative was that instead of one of the parents leaving the home and leaving the kids and separating the family, that the mother and father simply end all romantic connections whatsoever and expectations altogether and build just a co-parenting friendship if possible so that the kids retain both parents and as much stability as possible. It just suggested that, I don't know, maybe kids shouldn't be paying the price for their parents' dysfunction and poor choices. Imagine that, right? And that even if the parents' lives were disrupted in ways they very much did not prefer, that was the ethical and logical thing to do because you should be putting your kids first, and anyone who doesn't want to do that is basically being a selfish cunt. Any romantic relationships could be had outside of the home, and they could basically be with whoever they wanted to. Now, it's blatantly obvious that humans are not... Now, if you're married, let me say this first. Boy, I hope it works out great for you. I hope you're happy in your marriage. I hope your wife never divorces, rapes you. I hope you always see your kids and you dance at your 50th wedding anniversary, and I'll be there to celebrate it. I'll say I was wrong, and I hope the best for you. Okay, I'm not anti marriages that are working because there is a tiny percentage of them that apparently are working. I mean, I know a few women who I listen to on YouTube because they say really smart things in their field, and they're in good, solid marriages, it seems, and like they're either having kids or they've been married for a very long time, and everything seems great. I know it's possible. I have dated women where it seemed possible. I just didn't want to go through it for obvious reasons. So let me just get that out there. I'm not crapping on you if you're watching this and you're married. I'm saying this for, again, multiple reasons for people, men who are not yet married, to provide a bunch of evidence and a further proposal for what I'm suggesting, a solution. Now, a lot of you may be poo-pooing on the one I just gave about this unconventional alternative to divorce, but I think mainly those people would be women, because what men stand to gain is not having to do alimony, child support, never seeing your kids, having your heart ripped out, and oh, by the way, you get to bang new people. All pluses for men. Where's the minus, right? They're still going to have to upkeep a home. Well, you were doing that anyway. For women, a definite plus would be, hey, look, you're not interested. You don't want to be sexually with this guy anymore anyway, so you'll be able to get out there and do whatever you want with whoever you want. Now, they won't like it because they'll probably looking to get married again, possibly, and some new guy isn't going to want to marry a woman who's A, previously been divorced, B, a single mom, and C, living with her ex-husband who apparently she's just friends with now. But guess what? Guys aren't getting married anyway. Guys don't want to marry single moms anyway. Guys don't want to marry divorcees anyway because there's a damn good reason you are a divorcee most likely. And you don't want him, the new guy, to know the reasons for that. All right. My new proposal, this is really challenging for me to present this information in a logically flowing sense so that the viewer doesn't get lost. And I may be cutting this up into little segments, but again, try to follow me. I apologize, I'm not doing the best job in the world. There's a lot of information here, and I'm not used to this kind of load. So my proposed solution would be similar to what I just suggested, but actually start earlier before people even got married. It's a complete alternative to the traditional marriage. Clearly that's not working. Even a 50% divorce rate, which is a bunch of shit, which I'll show you soon, means it's not working. That's ridiculously high. Even if it was 30%, that's ridiculously high. Do you want to take a revolver with 10 barrels in the chamber, throw in 3 bullets, and pull the trigger? No. 30% is too high. 50% is ridiculously too high. The government knows it's more like 90+% that your marriage is going to fail inside of 10 years. They can't have that because obviously marriage is in the government's benefit. It keeps men restricted to working full-time and paying as much taxes as possible and being as productive a quote-unquote citizen as possible so that the government gets as much taxes as possible, and yet while retaining hopefully a birth rate that not only meets just replenishment levels but exceeds so that they're constantly growing. All right, and this has been the way governments have been throughout human history. Okay, it was all about we don't want to get conquered by the army next to us, therefore we need to have as many babies as possible so that we've got as many soldiers as possible so that we've got as much industry and protections as possible. And even going further back than that, this is why women quite often, and this is even written in the Bible and other holy scriptures, that hey, look, if you conquer your enemy, your religious enemy, kill all the men, kill all the boys, kill all the women who are not fertile, and just bring back these slaves, and they're called war brides and rape slaves. And the difference is if they're willing to become the another concubine, wife, or mistress to some warlord who just conquered them, or some soldier, right? And this is in a woman's DNA. Okay, the history of humanity is obviously extremely violent, and we're just now kind of, the age of enlightenment, coming out of a long history of just insane violence and disease and death and difficulty and low infant mortality and just a real struggle. And it's only now when we've got modern technology and medicine and, oh, by the way, live streaming cameras where they cannot control the narrative anymore, and it is in the hands of the people, which is why there's so much political upheaval around the world, because governments are all the same tyrannies, just about all of them. The United States one being one of the worst, obviously. Whew. So now the new suggestion would be, okay, man and woman meet. They get along great. This man happens to be one who wants children very, very badly. Just about all straight women want children. And if they don't have children, then usually they go lonely, crazy. They start getting a lot of animals and lathering their nurturing instinct, their maternal instinct, which is a real biological phenomenon that does exist that you can research for yourself, onto these animals. All right, that's why the stereotype for the crazy cat lady exists. All right, I've known people like this. It's odd, but I'm not really going to judge it in a way. It's just they're not happy overall because they don't have kids. There's something about having a baby and nursing and giving that maternal instinct and raising this child who, help take care of you in your old age, who you can develop this relationship with, and they're bonded to them, and they're always going to be your son or daughter, where obviously spouses can be temporary, very. And if they don't have that, they go nuts. There's a saying, comedian, I forget her name, but anyway, it doesn't matter because she's not all that funny. If women don't use their eggs, they get scrambled. I'm glad I'm not a woman. That'd be a very difficult biological program to have, but that's reality. The vast majority of straight women want kids. Okay, given as that is, we're trying to come up with optimal survival strategies, life planning, right? So you've got a woman who definitely wants kids, especially when her biological clock starts ticking around 30 when she starts losing her sexual market value. And a man who seriously wants kids and he's willing to work and pay for it and protect them. All right? You've got to realize that at some point in the future, the romantic flame is going to fizzle into nothing. Okay? How many, anecdotal evidence. Here we go. The stereotypical saying, show me a man with a supermodel hot long-term girlfriend and I'll show you a guy who's tired of hitting it. All right? It's not an insult or hating on women. Men can't be sexually satisfied with one woman for life. It's for most all men, it's fucking impossible. Pun intended. All right? You can't. Every biological fiber in your being wants a little diversity. Diversity is our strength. It's the only time I've heard that where I agreed with it. All right, and women, I know you don't like that, and well, I'm biologically programmed to be jealous of any other woman that you might be interested in because I've got to make sure I secure 100% of your resources and that 50% of those resources don't go to another bitch with her kids because I'm selfish. I don't want my kids and my genes to pass forward because I'm an animal and that's what we do. Too bad. Deal with it. Men deserve every bit as much to be sexually satisfied as women do, as human beings do. All right? You can't lock somebody into some monogamous relationship that they're not programmed to do and it's like trying to make a gay man straight. We're not programmed to be this way. Or a straight man gay. We're not programmed to be, especially if you're alpha oriented. Okay? There's some betas out there, there's strong betas and weak betas, but there's some betas out there who just want to be monogamous because they know, hey, I'm not very good at getting laid. Maybe I'm not all that attractive of a guy for various different reasons, and it's really hard for me to have good, long-term, satisfying, reliable sex. Therefore, I'll take whatever I can get, and I'll just settle. Like, that's real. And I'm not hating on guys like that, because I just basically got a lucky roll of the fucking dice. And some men get an unlucky roll of the dice. And it's just, I'm not trying to judge or be critical of that. I'm saying I just got lucky. I didn't do anything to deserve it. But be that as it may, we need to grow up as a species and realize that that flame is going to die. There's no such thing as a soulmate. There's no such thing as flame soulmates, eternal flames, or all this other nonsense romantic language. It doesn't exist. Up until very recently, marriage had nothing to do with romance. It was pragmatic. Hey, I'm grown up. I'm an attractive woman. I'm, now fertile and can provide sons and a family. Okay, well, I've got money and resources because I like to work and provide and protect you. All right, let's get together. Hey, oh, what's that? You're 20. You don't have anything. But the guy over here is 40 and he has a lot because he's been working for 20 years. So I'm going to go hook up with that guy and be damn glad for it. And I'm not saying it's right or ethical or logical. I'm saying that's goddamn reality. And if not willing to face reality and the stark truth of it, you're not going to be able to come up with the best solutions, and you don't even deserve to be part of the conversation when it comes to solutions if you're not willing to face the truth. Period. Point blank in all aspects of life and society. That was reality. So this whole thing about romantic love just is a dream. You have to be asleep to believe it, right, George Carlin? It doesn't work, and these stats prove that, and I'm about to get into them. So I'll wrap up the proposal by saying that this man and woman, they meet, they like each other, like, hey, we want to have kids. You want to have kids? Yeah, I want to have kids. Okay, great. Well, the romance isn't always going to be there. It's there right now, man. We can bang like monkeys right now, and it might be there for a year, maybe two, but eventually we're going to get sick of each other. You're going to live with each other. You figure out every detail about each other. Going out is boring. There's nothing new this person could say, and all you know is that, man, you're turned on by the even thought of touching a new body, just the mystery of it. So just come up with a plan. Boom, we're going to forget legal or religious marriage, obviously. Okay, and if it means you have to go to another country to live in a non-Western society that's more traditional, so be it. Because you just can't do it here. Judges will be like, oh, you're married, I don't care. You common law wife, I'm going to fuck you. So this can't happen in America, Canada, Australia, England, or any country like that. Because judges will screw you over and ruin your life, obviously. So, excuse me, I'm doing a lot of talking. So once in a safer environment, safer, not safe, then you plan. We're going to come together. We may or may not live in the same building. If we do, it's not a good idea to have the same bedroom. You shouldn't be sleeping in the same bed with this woman because you should always be trying to impress her. You can't do that when you wake up in the morning and ugh. This is just what I would suggest, all right? On this hypothetical. So you come together, go, bang, we're going to pop out kids. How many you want? 2, 3? Okay, whatever. 3, 4? Okay, whatever. You get, bang, sex, great. Man, first person to cheat, it's over. All romance is over. If you don't have any kids yet, you leave her. If you have one kid with her, you can't. All right? Hopefully she'll be not too much of a whore to where she'll stay faithful for at least 2 or 3 kids or however many you want to have. Right? Then, after the kids are done, and let's say she's recovered, like the child is at least a year, right? Then you go, hey, now let's reevaluate this. Are we still hot and heavy for each other? If so, great, man, go for it. As long as that lasts, great. But the second it's not the same for one person, both of them are out. And what that means, women, is that you can't gain weight. Oh, how dare you? You're fat shaming. Oh, it's so non-progressive. Wow. That's reality. Okay, it's a health issue. We look at you. This is what we desire, and we're biologically programmed in that way. Most all of us. Okay, very hardcore. You don't like it? Too bad. What does that mean for you? Oh, you get to have healthy exercise. Get on a treadmill or exercise bike for an hour a day, 6 days a week, not even 7. That's all it would take. Don't eat like a complete, unhealthy, always stuff in your face. Right? Ricky Tikki Tavi. A full stomach makes a slow mongoose. Pay attention. An hour a day and all the way improves your mental health, improves your physical health. Obviously, you live longer, you live a healthier life. It's better on your joints and everything. Okay, women, figure it out. Now, men don't have to do that so much because we're just dependent on protect and provide. That's our number one thing. A guy who's rich can get anybody. A woman who's fat cannot. Now, I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying anything other than life isn't fair. We're not equal. Stop trying to convince the world that you've got the same advantages and you're on the same playing field as men. You're not. Period, point blank. And all of empirical evidence throughout history proves it. So don't even give me that. But that's what I'm suggesting is there has to be an expiration on the romance post having kids and copulation, right? To where you both, okay, I'm going to go fuck who I want outside the home. You're going to go fuck who you want outside the home. Bam. We got kids. They don't hate us. We're together with them both. They get the advantages of both mother and father being in their lives. They grow up. Hopefully they take care of us when we're old. We raise good, positive people who aren't crazy or on addictions and, become productive members of society. Peaceful, not nonviolent types, right? That's the goal. That's what I'm suggesting. Now let's look at kind of the reason why. We've got obviously some big problems here. Some are problems, some maybe not so much, but let's check this out. All right. Now, the problems that I'm identifying here in this video are mass shootings, political violence. I don't mind political upheaval. I think that's necessary to go from the totalitarian, authoritarian bullshit we have now to a more peaceful society. But political violence is never okay. Violation, right, is never okay. Ethical and logical self-defense, lethal self-defense is one thing, but violence is another. Threats to gun ownership make all of society a less safe place. Responsible, trained people who have guns and can protect themselves make society safer, because if a mass shooter go off, they get taken care of a lot more quickly because someone's there obviously on the scene, not waiting for the cops to get there 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes later. They're never there when the shit goes down. Everyone knows it. And you're still relying on them? Give me a break. All right, so threats to gun ownership, destruction of fathers, all right, suicide rates, this is real. Men kill themselves 5 times as often as women do, and they're being destroyed in family courts that offer no protections like due process, a jury, a guaranteed lawyer, the right to be presumed innocent. There's no constitution when it comes to family courts. Okay, they just get completely and totally screwed. This is like something out of the dark ages, and it just is going on because it's normal. It's a 50 billion year industry, and that's bringing more money than all the other courts combined. It's just a business to put money in the pockets of lawyers and judges. It's insane that we put up with this. There's other countries that don't even come close to this because their politicians are still somewhat civil instead of corrupt, or at least they give the appearance of it. All right, and also the destruction of sons and daughters. When the father's not in the home, adding that influence, you grow up with a single mother, you've got a lot more problems. You're at risk for a lot more trouble in life. And so many metrics, I can't even begin to explain them. All right, the destruction of finances, obviously. Finances basically are freedom and options. Okay, it's not good to have that destroyed out of your life. So the one that's most popular to everybody is like, oh, mass shootings. I agree with you most on that, mass shootings. So let's address mass shootings and single mothers raising kids without fathers. All right. So I just looked up, this was a couple days ago, I was working on something else. I just looked up, hey, how many kids brought loaded guns to school this week? Okay? And after a very short time of searching, I found 5. And you could definitely find more, because apparently this is happening all the time. Okay? This girl picked up some felony charges. She's 13. That'll ruin her life if she doesn't get it taken care of. Who just pointed finger guns at students. She didn't actually have a gun. All right? And if you read these articles, they're basically all about punishment for the teenager that threatened or brought a gun to school, and nothing about, hey, what the heck is going on in your life, man? Why are you bringing a gun to school? Talk to me. Something's obviously going seriously wrong. Let's give you some options and fix it. Because you're just a teen, your brain isn't fully formed, you don't have a lot of coping skills, life is hard, you're dealing with public school and social media out there. Let's get you help. How can I help you? There's no talk about counseling or rehabilitation or any of that. It's just punisher, punisher, punisher. No talk about, is she being relentlessly bullied? Because these other kids in the school that do the bullying, they should share some culpability and responsibility for when these kids goes nuts and shoot and kill people. Obviously, kids don't want to get to a place where they're so miserable that they're bringing weapons to school, like they feel like to defend themselves from bullies and send a message. But there's no talk about that in any of these articles. All right, this one's just USA Today from October 11th, 2019. Here's a boy, 9 years old, brought a loaded gun to elementary school in Lauderhill, wherever that is, and pointed it at classmates. This is from October 2nd, 2018. 9-year-old boy was taken into custody Tuesday morning after he brought a loaded handgun to his elementary school, pointed it at 3 classmates who he claimed had been bullying him. I'm sorry, if a 9-year-old brings a loaded gun to school, it's pretty likely that he's been bullied. But they just word it like, oh, he claimed. Now, what's my point to go into all this level of detail? The mainstream media's approach is to just punish the gun, punish the gun, punish the gun. Horrible person, horrible person, horrible person. Oh, they may be claiming, they may be lying. Who knows? But it's the gun, it's the kid. Punish him, punish him, punish him. And no, there's no bullying going on here. No. No problems in society here. No multitude of chain of events, links in a chain of horrible events that have led to this situation. No, we're not going to look at any of the links in the chain because obviously government's responsible for a lot of those. Single mothers, divorce courts, horrible public schools, no budgets, shitty teachers. Not all teachers are bad, but shitty teachers, bullying. All right, what kind of nut job, brain wine washing is religion doing in this kid's life? Has he been abused, and if so, by who? I mean, they don't go into any of that. They don't mention even the effort to go into any of that. It's just the gun is bad, the boy is bad. A .380 caliber Ruger handgun to school. All right, it took his gun away without incident. Charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of possession of a firearm on school property. Broward County, Cuts, Florida. You know what they're going to do to him? Oh my gosh. Juvenile's parents, as if he has 2, were visibly upset and denied the juvenile having a history of mental illness. Wow. Okay, so that one may have had a father. Who knows if it was his biological father, or was it a stepfather? Who knows how long the stepfather has been around? If it is his biological father, was his father in jail for an extended period of time because he's only 9 years old, right? All right. Friday, October 11th, 2019. Student who took loaded gun to Northeast ISD Middle School caught after concerned classmates came forward. Oh, they're just concerned classmates, right? Nobody's been doing any bullying. Oh, no. Cornered students notified front office staff that a student appeared to have brought a weapon onto campus. They went to his class, removed him. The student had a gun in his pocket. They found it. We applaud the students who came forward and alerted the school. We are treating the situation with the seriousness it deserves, and we will not tolerate any inappropriate items at our school. Because there's this public pressure from the moron public. Make our school safe. Make our school safe. Be tough on criminals. More jails. More cops. Right? I mean, public schools are already going through shit because of the violence at them, because of their poor education practices, and because people are getting hit at bus stops. So they have a public image problem big time, and they feel like they have to protect it by just blaming the kid. What's going to happen to this kid 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 25 years from now? You're ruining his chances at a meaningful life and a positive financial future with you're limiting his career options by these horrible criminal charges, and no one in the mainstream media is addressing what were people doing to him to get him to bring. Okay, I've said it a lot. I'm going to zip through these next ones because I think you totally get my point. 16-year-old brought loaded handgun to St. Paul High School, took photo with it. Charges say this is October 9th, 2019. This is in the Twin Cities area. So from 9 to 16 years old, just in the last week, all right, according to juvenile petition that charged the teen with felony-level weapons possession. Social media app, Snapchat, of him holding a gun in the school bathroom, thinking, oh, Snapchat will make it go away. Nobody's going to tell on me. Loaded 9mm handgun. What has happened? A teen reported smelling strongly of marijuana at the time. That makes it less likely he's going to shoot up the school, by the way. And be less violent. What is happening to him? The school boards plan to discuss disciplinary action stemming from the incident at its meeting next week. Staff should, discuss at the time whether staff should schedule organization conversations with the student body about what happened. Ooh, first mention of something good, but it doesn't say what is going to be discussed, what the conversation is going to be about. It might just be about, hey, tattletale, these people are evil, harm. Instead of, what are you people doing to your fellow classmates to get them pissed off enough to bring guns to school? And who was bullying them? Your ass is on the line. I find out anywhere on a camera that you committed assault or physically threatened this guy, you're going to face charges for assault. Assault is not going to be tolerated whatsoever. This is no joke. You're bullying people, kids, into bringing guns to school. No thanks. No thanks. See, and this other bullshit quote here. All schools, whether public schools, private schools, charter schools, it doesn't matter. Safety is the utmost objective or goal, he said. See, he's lumping his crappy public school with a private school and a charter school, which have much better reputations. So it's innocent by association. It's a little manipulation he's putting in there. Quote, we want to ensure people's safety, and we do our best to do so. It's just kind of sad. It's just kind of a sad reality in our modern world where guns are so readily available. Guns should be readily available, just not to kids and not to mentally ill people. But just because one kid brings a loaded gun to school, how many public schools do you have? This stuff is bound to happen, right? The amount of violence that is allowed in these American classrooms. Oh, by the way, how many of these kids are on prescription psychotropic drugs that they don't need to be on for crap like ADHD. How many kids are on speed, basically? Adderall, Ritalin. How many kids are on these SSRIs, right? The last one, Champaign High School student brought loaded gun to school Tuesday. There's no date on this one. Yeah, there is. October 8th, 2019. A student was being escorted out of the school. A resource officer found a loaded handgun and ammunition in his backpack. I mean, does a student even have a backpack? Do they, rights to not be searched and seizure? Do students have the Constitution and Bill of Rights applying to them? Probably not. Just like, oh, you bring anything to this school, you give up all rights. We can just search anything we want at any point in time. And the idiot public are like, oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. People don't need rights. I want my kid to be safe. I don't want to pull my kid out of public school because I'm too lazy to put him in or he's too stupid, to be put in an online tutoring program where now I have to put up with their presence at home. I like my 6 hours, 8 hours of vacation time while they're at public school. It was good enough for me. Why isn't it good enough for them? Oh, just be nice. And it's so unlikely people will ever be involved in a shooting. My kid's getting good grades in a crappy education system. So no. He's going to stay in public school. It's just the government. People get the government they deserve. They get the public schools they deserve. All right. So there's the main problem I want to put over there is just how prevalent it is that kids are bringing loaded guns to schools. Now, mass shootings don't happen all that often at schools, but they're bringing loaded guns to school in droves. All right. So I did a search. What percentage of mass shooters are fatherless, basically? Went through all these, right? And I come up with some various opinions. So there's this big article that came out that somebody kind of apologized for because they thought the stats might have been shady on it. But did 26 of the 27 deadliest mass shooters come from fatherless homes? And even when it was corrected, it was something like, oh, well, only 21 of the 27 did. And of the 6 who did have fathers, some of them might have been stepfathers, some of them might have been in jail, some of them might have been abused by them, right? They don't really go into detail there. So Fox News reported something. Will Ferrell, if you know who he is, they tried to correct this. This statistic is both outdated and incorrect. This is by Snopes.com. I don't give them much credibility, but I'm giving you like 6 articles here. This article said 26 out of 27. Instead, the article claimed that 7 of the deadliest mass shootings were perpetrated by males under the age of 30, and out of the 7, only 1 was raised by his biological father. So it's not just talking about kids in schools doing mass shootings. It's talking about anybody doing a mass shooting. How many of them are fatherless? Now, keep in mind, the liberal progressive agenda cannot admit that fatherlessness causes gun violence. They can't admit that. They want the blame to be on the guns themselves. They also know that they're pushing the agenda through family courts and divorce courts that women always win. Women always get custody. Women get child support. Women get alimony. Screw the fathers. They're worthless. Toxic masculinity. They don't even know how to impart healthy masculinity because healthy masculinity doesn't exist. And kids don't need fathers. They can just get along with single moms. Oops. This is from Crisis Magazine, a voice for the faithful Catholics. So this person admits, earlier this week I published a piece for Crisis in which I owe readers an apology and explanation. Blah, 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 blah. I messed up. My article mistakenly reported that of a list of 27 deadliest mass shooters in U.S. history, 26 came from fatherless families. That is not accurate, as I write 2 sources, blah, 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 blah. So 2 writers like him, he just passed some information along, didn't really vet it. Okay, I'm not seeing exactly where he puts the actual numbers. Okay, at most, and this is probably being generous, we found maybe 4 or 5 of the 27 shooters that we could definitely conclude, without doubt, had been raised in an intact family, or a family that included the biological dad at home, or a biological father who was consistently at home. Only 4 or 5 of the 27. So is that any kind of victory for the left? Oh, it's not 26 out of 7. It's 22 or 23 out of 27. That's still a ridiculously high number. The point is, it's ridiculously poignant stat that correlates, and I think, yes, causation can be applied here, that single people, boys and girls who are raised without fathers in the home are a much higher percentage to commit violence. Why liberals have abandoned fatherhood? No surprise, we all know this. Liberals once knew it until they started pushing for fatherless families. Children need fathers, they also need mothers. All right. So this is Catholics. Catholics are, this is where I actually agree with them because they obviously want traditional marriage because getting divorced, God hates that. And I even have a Fox News article in here, and I like what they say because they're actually pro-gun, right? Pro-Second Amendment. Moving on, trying to skim through these super quick because I got so much more information to go through. The crisis of fatherless shooters, another one. It is crucial to talk about how more American children can grow up with the emotional, psychological, and spiritual security that comes from a relationship where one is deeply cared for, connected, and known. Tragically seek to fill through nihilistic violence. Among the 25 most cited school shooters since Columbine, 75% were reared in broken homes. All right, here's a little quote by the late rapper Tupac Shakur. I know for a fact that had I had a father, I'd have some discipline. I'd have more confidence. Your mother can't calm you down the way a man can. You need a man to teach you how to be a man. I just think that's really poignant. You need a man to teach you how to be a man because a mother can't do it. She's not capable of it. She has no idea what it's like to grow up as a male. None. All right, so just more, I don't see a whole lot of additional stats here that are relevant to my point. On this article, let's go to the next one. Schaefer, PhD. I don't. National Council on Family Relations. Okay, so he goes into the same article. This same article is a major point of all these search results. It's 26 out of 27. Oh no, it's 22 out of 27. This guy actually kind of supports, no, it's not single fatherhood. A little bit. An analysis of all mass shootings in which 4 or more individuals were killed between 1976 and 2011 found that white males were disproportionately likely to be mass shooters. Now, you got to go all the way back to 1976 to bring that number above 50%, because if you just go over the last 10 years, white males are a minority of mass shooters. All right, there's a picture on the internet with like 100 pictures of people who have committed mass shootings, and not most of them are white people. So that's pushing the liberal progressive agenda that all white men are evil. I skimmed through these. It's not like I'm reading them for the first time. I'm just kind of trying to encourage you to, if you have any questions about this, I mean, if you're not already sold. Okay, this is the, some comedian, Michael Ian Black. Just because someone's a comedian and an actor, like, oh, well, he said this, so that's we should talk about it. No, you're a comedian and an actor. You have no business talking politics, nor should anybody find you credible unless you've got some qualifications or some natural interest and education to do so. I mean, a comedian and actor, I'm not going to take your political opinions seriously, sorry. Venker goes on to explain that of CNN's list of the 27 deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history, only one was raised by his biological father since childhood. This has been, I mean, CNN probably went, oopsie, we shouldn't have done that. Now, this is telling, this quote here. Indeed, there's a direct correlation between boys who grow up with absent fathers and boys who, and then she lists a whole bunch of dysfunctional and who kill their classmates. So she can include and delude the killed classmates by including all these other things. Drop out of school, drink, do drugs, who become delinquent, wind up in prison, and who kill their classmates. Like, could you be more vague? We need you to be specific, but of course you don't want to be specific. All right, and lastly, Fox News here.
You can probably see behind us some traffic going on. Police have been escorting people inside the school to retrieve their vehicles. It's really been
pause. Okay. Most recent article about the Parkland school shooting and its connection to fatherless prompted a tsunami of emails. One of those emails, a man named Fritz asked what I considered to be the root of fatherlessness. I did follow up. Okay, so this is again where they kind of got it a little bit wrong and tried to correct themselves. The fact is, divorce and family breakdown, which to answer my in-laws question is the root of fatherlessness, is catastrophic for children. There's more than one reason why, but an obvious one is that in the majority of cases, divorce separates children from their fathers. Girls who grow up deprived of their father are more likely to become depressed, more likely to self-harm, and more likely to be promiscuous. But they still have their mothers with whom they clearly identify. Boys do not have a comparable identification and thus suffer more from father absence. The cultural's dismissal of men as valuable human beings who have something unique to offer, and its dismissal of marriage as an institution that's crucial to the health and well-being of children, i.e., it's okay to get divorced. Just get divorced. Just take the kids, get out of here. All right, so I probably spent a little too much time on all of those, but if it's not blatantly obvious, this is a huge problem, perpetuated by decades of tyrannical family and divorce courts that do not respect basic fundamental human rights as established by the entire Western world. All right, a right to a fair and meaningful hearing, my God. All right, what's next on the list? DivorceCorp. DivorceCorp is a documentary by a guy named Joseph Sorgi. And if you just look up his name, you'll go through a whole list of videos of him giving interviews, and the actual documentary itself can be seen for free. Now, I know how unpleasant it is to watch a documentary that just makes you sick to your stomach. Like, I totally get it. I don't like doing it. I'd much rather watch some stand-up comedy and have a good time. I'm super chill dude. Like, I don't spend a whole lot of my time down in these dark issues like this. It gets too draining if you do it too much. So, but please, if you haven't seen DivorceCorp, it gives the perspectives from men and women who have been divorced. It's fairly unbiased like that, so it's not just some women-hating thing, okay? It just calls out the divorce business and courts for exactly what they are. Just corrupt institutions of profit, and they're just screwing over children left and right, primarily. The best interest of the child is a total lie. So just watch DivorceCorp. I know it makes you sick. Sometimes you just got to put on your big boy pants and educate yourself about the more unpleasant aspects of your society if you're ever going to fix them. Or be a part of the solution toward fixing them ever, all right? You wonder why all these kids are bringing loaded guns. You wonder why all these mass shootings are happening. There's reasons why. There's links in the chain. Why? This video is about pointing out the links in the chain of events that cause these events to happen. And it's not gun availability. Gun control makes society less safe. All right. Now, going back to what I originally said in the beginning of this video. This started this morning. I wanted to find this animation of, hey, this divorce rate is, let me get on the right, is like 94%, not 50%. Okay, when you talk about the probability that a first-year marriage will survive for 10 years, it's more like 94%, 1 in 15, something like that. But I couldn't find it. I went all over YouTube, I went all over Google, I could not find it for like 2 hours. Okay, then I finally came across an article that talked about it. And of course, it's on Reddit, which is what YouTube and Google can't censor because it comes up too quickly and then people archive stuff so it lasts forever while providing the link. So I came here. Aha, I found it. And this is from CDC numbers from like 2016, maybe 17, somewhere in there. And they've been scrubbed from the internet. If you try and put in anything about marriage survivability, 10 years, the divorce rate, all you get is the same myth. Oh no, it's 50%, it's 50%, or a bunch of videos that go, oh, that 50% number is realistic. It's actually more like 40 to 45. So hey, fathers, men still get in there and join the marriage game, right? So this guy put it up. You click on his thing, his link there, and it comes up with this. I just didn't need to do it again. It comes up with this site from Statistic Brain Research Institute, but it won't give it to you. It won't give it to you. On another browser, it says, oh yeah, download the PDF, click here. But it doesn't let you download the PDF. It takes you to this other link like, oh, go ahead and install this app. It's like, oh, go ahead and install this virus. Like, it's shady as hell, okay? I know not to download shit like that. But I took it far enough to where I was like, no, I'm not going to install anything on my computer. Nobody who wants you to download a PDF for free is trying to ask you to do that. So then I go back to here, and this is all, obviously, men just talking to each other, right? Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Don't tell me I clicked on the wrong one. It's this one. Okay, so what I'm not showing here, because I'm on the wrong browser, or the wrong website, but no big deal, is this in the comments down here. Maybe it still shows it. Yeah, Bing, right here. Okay. So this guy, SnapShillBot, archived this information. People archive it because they think it's going to disappear. All right, and we don't want it to be washed off the internet, so we're going to archive it. So when you follow these archive links, you get the stats. Not this. It's this. So here are the stats. Annual number of U.S. marriages, 2 million. All right, and these are the CDC numbers that they want you to hear. Marriage rate, 6.8, or basically twice the divorce rate of 3.4. And that's how they get the 50%. Okay, it's how many marriages were there? How many divorces were there? Therefore, your marriage has a 50% rate? No. Your marriage goes longer than 1 year. It goes 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. And in each one of those years, you have an additional percentage of being divorced. When you get up to 10, it's 1 in 15. And that's their statistics, not mine. Percent currently married by race and sex. Marriages by education level. Religion in marriage. Here's where it gets good. First marriage survival, and again, this is CDC information. Sources, CDC, National Survey of Family Growth. Probability that a first marriage will survive 10 years, 1 in 15, 6.6%. If there was no birth during the marriage, 1 in 27 will last 10 years. And you know what happens to you in a divorce. Women know what happens to you too. That's why most of them take advantage of it. The vast majority of them exploit it to no end. They'll get a feminist lawyer and rape you over the coals. If there was a birth before marriage, it's back to 1 in 15. And then they have a little shotgun marriage stat here. All right. Probability a first-time cohabitation will lead to marriage within a year, 1 in 47. So living with a guy doesn't mean he's going to marry you. Will lead to a marriage within 3 years, 1 in 23. Within 5 years, 1 in 17. Living with a guy does not make him marry you. Okay? So that's where that came from. And then, of course, this is in Reddit and, oh, this is the same thing. Oh, click, click. That was the same thing. Here. Now, this is called the Marriage Celebration Club magazine, and I just thought this was odd. That's why I have it up, okay? So this is a real propaganda-type website. Oh, we celebrate marriage. We want marriage. We want marriage. But it's got the most cucked articles and childlike. I mean, the writing level here isn't even high school grade. Okay, now check out this thing. This was interesting to me. Are you a happy wife, right? A happy wife is a happy life still holds true by a woman. Now, I'm going to read this article and reverse the genders. So if it's fair for this to be used against a man, it's certainly fair for it to be used against a woman. Okay. How often do you stop to wonder if you are a happy husband? For many men, being happy in their marriage is directly linked to how emotionally committed their wives are to them. Happiness in a marital union goes far beyond receiving flowers and chocolates. Every day cannot be Valentine's Day, so it is important to find alternate ways to be as happy and satisfied with the woman in your life. One method of knowing whether or not you are happy is to contrast a happy husband with an unhappy husband. So she wonders, is my husband happy? How is a wife to know if her husband is happy or not? Obviously, the first thing she can do is ask him. It is important for partners to keep the lines of communication open, and if you can express your innermost feelings in a tactful, positive way, this communication will help heal gaps in understanding. Super vague, super unprofessional, super poor writing. If a woman knows what ingredients go into the recipe for a happy marriage with her husband, she can work on becoming a better chef. I got news for you. Shut up, make me a sandwich, and let's get some sex going on here. That's putting it politely. Don't get fat. That's it. Don't talk so much. Don't think so much. Be a good cook. Be a good mother, and be good in bed. Be enthusiastic in bed. And because you can't maintain that, we need to have an agreement where our romance goes away after X amount of years so we can find other people to be romantic with. Because human beings are not designed to be monogamous. Most all of them. All right? If she is expected to figure it out on her own, you may both end up with a mess. Can you imagine putting this level of accountability on the woman instead of the man here? You see how ridiculous? It's hilarious. This is unintentional comedy. I'm not bringing it up because I'm butthurt taking it seriously. I'm bringing it up because it's unintentional comedy. Because when you flip all their articles and you flip the genders on them, they would just guffaw and scoff and, oh my God, how dare you, misogynistic woman hater. Oh, that's so wrong. You're so full of shit. And that's why it's so funny. So explain to your woman that changes occur throughout a man's lifetime. What made you smile the most at 25 might be different at age 45. While she should be sensitive to the ebb and flow of the passage of time, you must also give her clues, saying something like, I used to love chocolate for so many years, but now I'm more interested in ice cream. Could not only cue her into your preferences, but spark a new conversation between the two of you and possibly a trip to the ice cream parlor. Could you... How childish do you have to be 45? And, oh, I used to like chocolate, but now I like ice cream. What? That's the level of intellect that you're bringing to this relationship? No man would ever say that. Guaranteed. Like, I used to love one type of sex act, but now I want three ways. I mean, I, I used to like when we'd have intellectual conversations, but now I don't like that at all. I used to watch movies with you, but now I don't want to. I used to like sports, but now I don't. I used to like this team, but now I don't. I mean, typical guys are going to say stuff like that, but this article just makes me laugh so much. I used to love chocolate, but now I love ice cream. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, now, interesting part. This is where these same U.S. marriage statistics got thrown into this article. So it's pro-marriage, but look. They got the decimal point wrong because they're idiots. But look, probability that a first marriage will survive 10 years, 0.66, 1 in 15. It's actually 6.6, you dumbasses. All these are the same with the decimal numbers. 1 in 27, 1 in 15, 1 in 13, 1 in 12. So they put these damning stats on their website and left it up. Like, what? The same stats. So I thought that was hilarious. Okay. Am I moving on to this part yet here? Okay, so yeah, just to summarize, government hides stats. Government hides unemployment stats. All right, government hides PTSD and war vets stats. Government hides stats when it comes to budgetary concerns. They obviously can't balance a budget to save their lives. Right? So just because some propaganda myth has been perpetuated out there forever doesn't mean it's completely a lie to fuck up your life and nothing less. There's no 50% marriage statistic rate. It's you're going to be divorced in 10 years. You've got a 6% chance of making it. You like those odds? Go ahead and pull the trigger. If you're married and it's working, you're one of the 6% past 10, great. I'm happy for you. I genuinely am. But if you're not married yet, do not get married. Do not get married. Oh my God. Now, this is just another website that had the same stats, but man, this is what I'm talking about. Black poison soul. This guy is kind of dark. The language that he uses is very insulting to women. He gives out the same statistic. This lie is having this effect on men. They're like, fuck this shit. They're having the black pill, which means they get nihilistic. That's not a state you want men in. They're going through red pill grief cycles. Some of them are killing themselves. I've been lied to my whole life. I believed in this. I've totally screwed. I can't see my kids. My finances are destroyed. And what am I going to do? Have to run to another country and never see them again? Like, this is a result of the government's successful implementation of these types of lies inflicted upon society so they can maintain power. And it's nothing less. That's not an exaggeration. This is not hyperbole. Here's another site where it was discussed. I'm just showing you. They can try and scrub this off the internet, but they'll never be able to scrub it off of forums. Because guys can talk on forums and stuff gets put up too quickly and it spreads like wildfire. All right. All of this conversation was happening on this site. So if it is truly 96% and this gets out because, information, the truth tends to get out on the internet, imagine what that means for replacement levels. All right, your population is constantly going to be declining, but there's many parts of the world where their population is still rapidly increasing because they are not first world countries. They're not even into the industrial age, or they're not out of an industrial age. They're still in an agricultural age. Okay, so the various world's populations are altering. There's going to be more elderly person and less new people to pay the taxes, that pay the welfare. That's going to lead to civil upheaval. I think is a great thing. It needs to happen. Just because I think it's got to get a lot worse before it gets better. That doesn't mean it's going to be fun or I'm looking forward to it. All right. So an elderly burden and increased taxes. You know how popular increased taxes are. So let me go over. Okay, so I've already gone over my solution a little bit, right? In my humble opinion, it's the expectation of a permanent romance that is the problem. This expectation of this fairy tale, life riding off into the sunset on a white horse with your hot woman like she's going to stay that way. It's just unrealistic and indescribably damaging to people's lives and to young kids. All right. My parents were divorced for like 27, 28 years. They didn't get divorced until I was 18, 19, 20 years old. So I've never had to deal with this problem. I had an alpha father around. But I see and hear the growing trend, this generation coming up of they have no social skills. They've just been online. Their social life is behind a screen. They don't know how to act in a community of various ages and demographics. They're just watching porn. They're not getting out there and meeting. They have no sexual experimentation with women. If they've had sex, they haven't been in a relationship with someone who cared about them sincerely and wanted to have sex with them for free and stuff like this. They're resentful, they're getting bitter, they're getting nihilistic, and every once in a while just bites random people because of these mass shooters. And that could be you and that could be me. And I'm trying to discuss real solutions here. These solutions are not only not in the mainstream media, they're hard to find on the entire internet, like they've been scrubbed out of existence. Now, in my proposed solution, where eventually after 5, 6 years, whatever, people end their romance together and have other romantic partners, I think, generally speaking, women would complain more about this than men. Okay, they'd be like, no, wait a minute. I want that choice. I don't want you to have that choice. I'm not agreeing to that. I want to be romantic with you as long as I want to be romantic with you and not one day more. So I want the power. I don't want you to have any of it, which is just unrealistic and selfish and childish. And is the symptom of a woman who's not worth creating kids with. Very, very, very few women have a high enough quality to their character to deserve being the mother to your children. That's a fact. It's unfortunate, but that's reality. Not all men are going to be able to procreate. Not all men can even afford to procreate. Not all men are good enough fathers to be procreating. It's a two-sided coin. All right, but women are definitely going to have wait, I can't coerce you with divorce and child custody and child support and alimony and the divorce rape threat. I can't coerce you with that. So I'm not going to have all the power I have right now. Fuck that. I want the same power I've always had. Again, the sign of a woman who doesn't deserve to have your children. Women have got to bring their power down to a true level of equality, or heaven forbid, a biologically accurate subordination to a what's the word I want to use here? Appropriate system of a soft patriarchy. How it's always worked throughout human history to get us to this point. I'm not saying it was perfect. No, nothing about humanity is, but it's working better than what this is. This is something brand new. For people to not be procreating anymore, most people aren't even having sex anymore. Most people aren't even dating anymore. They just given up on it entirely. This is just going to spell bigger, bigger, bigger problems. It doesn't have to be that way. But ladies, hello, there will come a time where you'll be like, oh, hey, I'm way more excited and getting wet over the prospect of banging other men or another man. So there's that benefit you would get, because you don't want to be with the same dude for 20 years too. You get sick of us, and vice versa. All right? Your kids are going to appreciate your sacrifice for sticking in a marriage you weren't romantically related to, so that they would have both parents. They're more likely to not go to prison, not do drugs, but to go have successful careers that can take care of you in your old age and love you, so that you will still be worthwhile, a worthwhile human being, and useful as a grandmother and a great-grandmother, with kids who love you, who don't abandon you to a nursing home like so many do. That is a huge benefit. Women, you do not want to be lonely between the ages of 40 and 80 when the world considers you useless and just another face in the crowd like they do all men currently. You're nothing special. You're not going to get any attention for being attractive because you're not anymore. Period, point blank. That's reality. Don't blame the messenger. You have a problem with Mother Nature if you have a problem with that. Well, I don't like you pointing it out that openly. We'll get comfortable with it. Now, the men aren't going to have many complaints with this. They're like, psh, you mean if she's no longer interested in me romantically, I could go have sex with new women? Score. Oh, you mean if I'm no longer interested in her, I could go have sex with other women, and she's already agreed to this, and the kids know and everything's score. I'm not going to be divorce raped. I'm not going to have child support. I'm not going to be paying alimony. I'm not going to be kicked out of my own home while she keeps all the assets, things she didn't earn. Maybe we just had like a 2 or 5 year marriage. We're going to get screwed over in Western world divorce courts. No, thank you. Score. It's a huge plus for men. You have to give men a huge plus. You've got to keep them in the home if you don't want your society to go to shit like it is currently right now in a dangerous way. So again, there's my proposal. For currently married couples, you can agree to end the romance in your relationship and still live in the same home and still be co-parents, have separate bedrooms and make it work. For those who aren't married, you got to get to a non-Western world which still has a soft patriarchy. If you must have children, and organize a contract that involves the end of the romantic expectation. Romance is awesome. God knows. Look, my health. Okay, by the way, let me just give you a little bit of personal history so people don't think you're a misogynist. You hate women. You've had a horrible life. Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Okay. I'm a guy who's telling you all this stuff. There's no way I would tell you all this stuff on the internet and open myself up like this to all these controversial issues unless I had a lifestyle that I felt was way better than most men. That I enjoyed freedoms and benefits and pleasures in life and experiences that most men have not and would very much want. Okay? Yes, I was stupid, got married young, 19 and 20, got divorced at 27, had a kid, couldn't see her, all that stuff, ripped my heart out. It was horrible. However, ever since then, it took me a couple years to get over, to be honest. And during that couple years, I had the best sex of my life, by the way. I've had, I don't even want to, this isn't really important, but it's been north of 35 attractive women I've got to spend time with. And it's all time that I wanted to spend with. I've never been dumped in my life past the age of 16. I've always done the dumping. Or hey, I got to move. I'm moving to Florida. Hey, I don't want to grow up in the town I lived in. That's nothing wrong with that. Some guys like to do that. I got all respect for that. But I wanted to go to the coast. I wanted to go check out the ocean. I wanted to go do some deep sea fishing off some piers and some night shark fishing and some kayaking. In canals and in the ocean. Hey, okay, well, people are crazy in Florida. I don't want to be here forever. So, hey, why don't I go to Hawaii for 6.5 years? I mean, the experiences that I had in Hawaii, nobody can ever take away from me. Oh, by the way, I learned how to fuck up the court system, judges, prosecutors, and lawyers, and laughing the whole time. Got them completely off my back with their damn near charging me with felon in a year in jail over some plants. All right, I have stupid lucky. I have had a very rewarding sex life. I grew up before the internet. I've got lots of social skills. I'm friendly. People think I'm funny. I'm not saying I'm awesome. You should follow me, listen to me. I'm not bragging. I'm admitting that I had a very lucky roll of dice in multiple facets of life, in the generation I was born in, and the fact that I just had some natural gifts that did well in the society that I was in. I went to college. I had a killer profession there for a while, and it scored me a lot of points. I did some typical stuff, and now every penny I earn goes to me. I get to live wherever the hell I want. In fact, I'm going to Mexico in February and probably moving there in July. because I want to get out of this country. I want to know what it feels like to breathe freer air. Because things are just getting too crazy, and I want to be on the beach chilling with my popcorn and 3D glasses while your country goes to shit, Western world. And I'm just trying to tell you, you have options. Where there's a will, there's a way. You don't have to put up with this. You want to have kids? Don't have it in the Western world. Make plans, earn it. You shouldn't even be really caring about having kids till you're 30. You need to develop a career because your worth is going to be your paycheck and you need to make 6 figures. And if you don't make 6 figures, that's fine too. I don't make 6 figures. But if you really want to have a large family, that's kind of what needs to be in the cards for you. Or you work online and then live in a country like safer parts of Mexico, which is virtually all of Mexico, where your money goes 5 times as farther than the US dollar. So now you can make $25,000 a year online in Mexico. That's like making $100,000 US, and that's a safe estimate. What you can get in rent, utilities, that sort of thing, your food, you can be living large. So there's options. Do not get married in the Western world. The chances of it working out for you are ridiculously low, obviously. The government is lying to you. We need to get out. They're too big to fight. They're too big. We're not going to be able to, look at Hong Kong. You look at the Ukraine. You look at the Arab Spring. You look at all these places and little bubbles in America with the ranchers in the Northwest and the oil pipeline people. Nothing ever comes of it because people get the government they deserve. Not enough people care to be free. Most of them are sheep. Most of them are undereducated. Most of them are unhealthy. Most of them are dependent on the government. They're looking forward to that pension. They've worked for the state. It ain't going to happen. And it's not worth doing. This country is not worth fighting for to make it free. Do I love all the land here and the relative freedom and the safety that I've enjoyed my whole life? Absolutely. I recognize how crazy humanity has been for all these centuries and millennia and how lucky I am to live in the 21st century. We're relatively disease-free and peaceful. I just got to worry about some terrorist cops coming around every now and then. That's relatively great. But that doesn't mean that this booger sandwich needs to be tolerated just because the world has shit sandwiches somewhere else. There are other places that are much better to live than the Western world, and intelligent men need to make the what's the word I'm looking for? Make the migration to these areas that will appreciate us. Where these people care about tourism dollars. These people care about business. Move your stuff online, man. People have obviously successfully completed a career move before. You're not stronger than those people who did it? I bet you are. Make it happen. All right? There's places where women are not entitled. Now, they're always going to have this nature that's going to want to take advantage of you, but just accept it. That's just the way it is. Turn the tables. Just you can get what you want out of them at the same time they're trying to get what they want out of you. And you can make this balance of a mutual exchange where nobody's really taking advantage of the other, and we're both basically friends while the romance lasts. And when it fizzles and dies, you put the fish back in the ocean and you catch another. You don't keep the same fish just because she keeps jumping on your boat. I'll love to Patrice O'Neill with that. All right, man. This has lasted forever, over an hour 10. That's long for me. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for listening. Fucking good luck out there, man.